Hi, welcome to Beano's Garage, the channel dedicated to the male midlife crisis. So we're talking about bikes, cars, electric vehicles and tech. If you like that kind of stuff, please hit the subscribe button. We'll be posting more videos like this over the coming months, weeks. So yeah, I look forward to posting some more content for you. On today's video I'm going to show you step by step how to do an oil and filter change on a Honda CBR500R motorbike. Please feel free to post any comments or questions in the comments section and we'll do our best to respond to them as quickly as we can. If you like this video, then hit the thumbs up, that'll be much appreciated. So enough talking, let's get on with it. Okay guys, so first things first, let's just go through a couple of bits and bobs that we're actually going to need to do this job. So one at a time, we've got an oil catch pan. We're going to need that. It needs to be a fairly low profile one. You might not get a bucket underneath there. It's quite narrow gap, even though mine's fully on stands at the moment. So nice shallow oil catch pan. Some gloves, ideally, prevent you getting yourself covered in oil. A wrench, ratchet. I've got a 17mm socket and a 12mm socket. 12mm is to undo the sump plug, which happens to be under there, and the 17 is to be used on this little gadget, which is actually a special wrench for the oil filter, which we'll come on to in a second. Always good to have some blue roll or something similar. Kitchen roll do just fine. And then we come on to the main bits that we need. I've got myself an OEM oil filter. I generally choose the OEM ones because, to be honest, they're not much difference in price to some of the aftermarket ones. There's the part number there. If we just get that out. This is exactly what's on the bike at the moment, and I've fitted at 8,000 miles, so this is pretty bog standard oil filter. And if you look at this, that sits right on top and allows you to spin it. And oil wise, I've chosen to go with Castrol Power 1. The important bit is the 10W30 4T for 4-stroke motorcycle engines, and that is the spec that is required for a CBR500R. I've got a 4-litre bottle there, which should be enough, and I'll post the specs later on. So that's pretty much all we need. Pretty basic job, pretty straightforward. Cost wise, I think the oil was about 28 quid, 28 pounds, UK pounds. Shopped around a bit for that. It can vary dramatically, but if you are doing a kind of a search on Google, just make sure that you get that 10W30. I nearly ordered some 10W40 after having Googled 10W30, and it came up with a cheaper price for the 10W40, but I don't want that. And this was about, I think, 10 quid, I think. Box is coming apart there. These things are extra. The last time I bought an oil filter, it came with this, and I paid a bit more for it. But I thought I'll be using it in the future. This one didn't come with it and cost about 10 quid. I think with it was about 14 or something, but it's well worth having. Okay, so that's the kit we need. Okay, onto the bike then. You'll see I've got it on stands front and back. It's just easier on stands. You don't have to have it on stands, but it is easier. If you haven't got it on stands, it'd be helpful if you had somebody to help you for when you actually want to drain the oil, because you really want the bike completely upright rather than on one side, and you can't really open things up and stuff. I guess you could have it on its side stand, open up the bolt, and then even sit on it, and while it drains out, that's a possibility. So what you'll see is the drain bolt is under at the back of the sump there, and we have the filter on the front. That is right by those downpipes, which get very hot. So what I am going to do is I'm going to switch the engine on for a bit, get that oil a little bit warmer so that it flows out a bit easier, and then I'll drain it, and then I'll wait a little bit before I take that filter off, because it's right by those pipes. It can get a bit hot. So let's fire it up quickly. Okay, we'll just give that a few minutes to run. Okay, so I've let the engine run for a few minutes, giving it a bit of beans, get the engine a little bit warmer so that the oil drops a bit easier and more of it comes out. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to undo this oil filler. Now then, that lets the oil drop out a bit easier again, so I'm just going to pop that down here somewhere. What you'll see is, as I've got it on axles, on the stands front and rear, I did just have it on a rear stand, but then I noticed that the sump was pretty much lifted up at the back. So I lifted up the front so that the sump was falling downwards towards the sump plug, which is at the rear. So therefore more of that oil will come out, and you can see it just up there. So the next thing to do is crack that bolt and get the oil out. Okay, I'm not sure how good that camera angle is going to be, but we'll see. So sticking my gloves on, get oil everywhere. Got my oil pan underneath, and I'm getting my 12mm socket on my wrench, making sure it's set to undo, and then there we go. Now, the important thing is to catch it before it goes, follows the oil in. There we go. Now I'm just using a bit of the blue roll I showed you earlier to clean off the sump plug and the sump washer. If you have the opportunity, you should really get yourself a new sump washer. To be honest, I don't generally do that. Usually haven't really had a problem so far with any sump plugs. Just keep an eye on the oil as it's draining out, make sure it's going into the pan rather than somewhere else, and make sure you clean off your gloves, otherwise you'll be getting oil everywhere. Okay, so I've given that a few minutes, we've pretty much stopped dripping now, so just going to clean that off a bit, and we're going to get that sump plug back in, being careful not to drop it in the oil. Not too tight. I'll come and torque that up properly later on and tell you the torque spec for that. So just make sure it's nice and clean. There's no oil remaining on there, because if there is, that oil will start to burn when the engine gets hot. I've moved the oil pan underneath this filter, because what usually happens is you usually get a bit more coming down from the bottom of the filter, hitting the pipes often, and then going onto the floor, so you don't want that. So we're going to pop our filter removal tool on even, if we can. There we go, not quite on yet. Try and come from the bottom. What you'll see is I have got like filter pliers and stuff, but they're just nowhere near as easy as this. There we go, that's on. With the filter pliers you can't really get much range on when you're actually using them, and it takes ages to undo it. So making sure you've got it on loosening, let's just undo this. There we go. It shouldn't be too tight. Again, not a huge amount of range, so it takes a little while, but you only really need to get it kind of loose, and then you should be able to get a hand in there. There we go, and undo that easily. See, there's quite a bit of oil pouring out onto my down pipes, which is a bit of a pain when it comes to the design. I'll just move the camera so you can see that there. Quite annoying, but we can clean those up afterwards. So we'll just, can't use enough hands here really. There we go. Open that up fully. Tilt it back the other way to pull it out so it doesn't drip everywhere. Okay, so I'll let that drain out for a bit, but I'm also going to just drop the front of the bike down a little bit just to see if the angle gets any more of that oil out. There we go, a bit more, look. Okay, let's get it back up again. So the next thing to do is give that a bit of a wipe round. Get some of that excess oil out of there. Make sure it's all fairly clean. We'll do the bit around the bottom after we put the new filter in. So, to prepare your new filter, here's our old filter. Here's our new filter, nice and clean. What I am going to do is just put a little bead of oil around the top, so I get some new oil out here. Didn't think about that, bear with me. Okay, so I've opened up my oil. Just going to put my finger in there and just put a little tiny little drizzle of oil just around that rubber seal there. Okie dokie. Right, now I've taken my glove off because there's not much oil going on at the moment and I need to be able to do this up. So I'm popping my hand up through here and you need to get this located in the right place. Come on. There we go, I can feel it now turning. It'll just spin on once you get it there. Then you can kind of do it up as much as you can like that. And then you can get your tool on, and it needs to be done up to 26 Newton meters. There we go, just went. There we go. So that is 26 Newton meters there. So might need to give that a little bit of a whack to get that off. There we go. Off. So what I'm going to do now is just give that a little bit of clean round with some blue roll. Try and get as much of it off as possible so that it's not all smoky when it fires up again. And then we need to go back to the back and nip that up. Okay, so the sump plug needs to be done up to 30 Newton meters, so pretty close to what the other one was on. Okay. Okay, all done. Okay, now the final and most important job is of course to refill the engine oil. Now we left our oil filler plug open while we were draining out, so that's where we're going to be filling up through again. And that is our indicator down there, which you can't see very easily, but the line that goes across the top there, that should indicate that's where the oil should be up to when the bike is flat on a level surface. So we'll pop a bit in now, and then we'll let the front down, and we'll take into account how the fact that the back's off the ground. So another thing you do need is one of these. Forgot to mention that earlier. Preferably one with an angled neck, so that it can actually go in there. I have to mess around a little bit with this one to get this one to go in properly, but you'll see that in a minute. It does work. So you'll have seen from the amount of oil that you bought out roughly how much you need to put back in, and so it's just a case of adding it in, not too quick, otherwise it will flow back on you. Really need to get myself an angled filler. This is a pain. Okay. A little bit more, and then I'm going to lower the front of the bike down, I think. Okay, so let's leave it like that for a minute. Back in there. Still got a way to go yet, I think. Okay, a little bit more. Get us up to the line. That's pretty much us on the line, I think. Again, apologies if you can't really see that, and it's a bit dark. But that is a bit below the line, but I'm going to switch on, let the engine run a little bit, and then we'll have another look. Obviously, before switching on, make sure you put your cap back on. And get this one cross-threaded. It's a bit of a naff plastic thing, so we're going to fire up again. Sounds pretty good. Let it run for a minute or two. Okay, let's check out what our level's looking like now. Bit on the low side at the moment. Just give it a minute to sort itself out. Do you think we need a bit more in there? Let's take the cap off again. Get our dodgy funnel in place, and pour some more in. I think that'll do us. Okay. Cap back in, and we're good to go. So there you go. So there you have it, guys. Really simple job that only takes about 15 minutes to complete. Saves you money. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and follow us. We'll be posting up a load more content over the coming weeks and months. We look forward to sharing it with you. If you've got any ideas for videos that you want created, please feel free to make recommendations and mention them in the feedback. Until next time then, see you soon.